Welcome to the Trureform podcast, where the goal and the aim is to transform, reimagine, unite all towards success and collaboration. We're your host, I'm Nam Solomon,
Marcus Sherry.
and today we have Janeska.
Hey,
Marcus, tell us about Janeska. Tell us a little
yo,
bit about
Janeska is really out here, man. We met a while ago, but I was always very impressed about her story, man. Not, she's a mom, right? She's an entrepreneur, right? She's a published author, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you might look at her and say, "Oh, she's all dolled up. She's so girly." Man, she'll roll them sleeves up in a second, lay brick. You know what I'm saying? Put a roof on a crib, like you name it. Janeska can do it, man. So Janeska, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So just to kind of go ahead and get started, like, just like tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, right? And what you want us to know about you.
Well, I am Janeska. I am a Ceballos. I'm Janeska Ceballos. I'm a single mom, and I'm also a grandma. I don't know if I told you, but yeah, I'm grandma too. And I mean, like my story is like no other, nobody else. That's just let's get that thing. My story is more like, all right, I went through it, I beat it, I did it. Okay, let's move on. How did I accomplish it? So that's where I had to go to therapy to be who I am right now. And it took a lot. It took a lot just for me to be the person I am, to be a mom and show my kids, because I am a teacher. So with that being said, I was like, I came from Panama and I came to the state when I was like 6 years old. And from there, I always wanted to be like a star. So I wanted to be a model. It always started as I wanted to be a model, and that became like, okay, I always wanted to be on front screen, like in camera, and just be. In my book, it tells more about that, but just me being who I am and wanted to do that, that lead me into like it was not good. Like I got taken advantage of and all type of stuff. But I started doing things that I was not supposed to be doing. And let me start off with that. The only reason I actually, because I got robbed. I got robbed from my innocent at a very young age. I was only 12 going on 13 when the system took me for something I clearly didn't do. I even went through trial, like that right there. And imagine just being a little young girl, don't know nothing, just coming outside and you get in trouble for something you didn't do and you got to prove you're innocent. So I ended up doing time for that at a very young age. I think I did like 18 months. And it was really difficult for me and my family because me and my moms really didn't get along. We already had.
Wait, sorry, like, are you saying you dated when you was 12?
Yeah, 13.
Did I miss
I
that?
did my 13 year. I spent 13. Yeah, my 13 years.
Wow.
I had a
Right.
13th birthday in jail. And that right there was just like tragic
Wow.
because the relationship with me and my parents was not even good. So I lost so much because I lost my family. And just being in jail just was like totally crazy at a very young age, not knowing what is really happening. So
Mhm.
that's what triggered it off, guys. That's when I became like, okay, life was about nothing. Like you could do this and just jump back. And that I can't say I was like a hot case, but they used to say, oh, I just was like, I just didn't care. I didn't care. I never thought about committing suicide, but I was in that rope where I just didn't care. So when that happened to me, yeah, they robbed me from my innocence. That happened to me. I just started scamming. And I wouldn't say like scamming. I was just stealing like stuff, like clothes and stuff like that. And like it started off with like candy, and then you steal clothes and stuff like that. And just to like take care of myself. So
Divide, yeah.
you said something about like how do you come home? You come home and then you don't have nothing to do. I end up getting in trouble at 12 years old for something I ain't do. End up getting caught because a shoplifting case. I said, you know what? I have kids now. I'm 16. I have kids now. I want to change my life. That's not where I want to
Mhm.
go. I want to change, go a different route. So with that, I decided to put myself in school. I went to nursing school.
Wow.
You know how my dream got shattered, or like everything, like they robbed, they took me, like they made me feel this small. So I did the class and everything, and I think in between the final, they told me I was unable to finish off because I have a criminal record. I had a misdemeanor.
Oh,
So there, I knew I wasn't able to work anywhere, nowhere. So what that
wow.
led me back to the shoplifting case.
Mhm.
So I have a rap sheet that's from, I would say, from here to Jamaica. Just being funny, but let's say,
Like I get it.
All
Yeah.
good.
let's say, but I was trying to change my life, and these people told me I wasn't able to work because
Mhm.
of my record. So you come home from jail and you don't have no options, no way out, and you are already a family. You already have a family. I already had my daughter and my son, so I had to provide. So it was like which way to turn. So it was really difficult for me growing up. It was really
Mhm.
really just to be where I'm at right now, standing right here talking to you guys. It was really hard, and that's where the book came in. I had to write to show somebody what I went through and to sit here and smile, put a smile on my face, because people don't do that. And the first thing that I told you guys is I was in a dark space, but I never wanted to commit suicide. I never. But imagine those people that do. We really cluttered. So then that's me. You have to hear my voice. I had to tell a story. And it's a real story that happened to me. It's shameless. When I start writing, I was like, you know what? People are going to judge me. The people who I'm trying to meet, they're going to judge me. They're going to look at my book and say, oh my God, she went through all of that. She was this and that. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I could help somebody also in the long run. So I am going to publish it. I am going to tell my story. I am going to talk about it. It's okay. And by me talking about it, I understand that my story is not as bad as what I could hear in my ears. I got molested by my brother. And by me getting molested by my brother at 3 years old, all the way down, all the way to like three, it stopped at 6 or 7. And just to hear someone else's story that got molested by their father, I'm like, it's no way. It's no way. So I know it's okay to talk. When you
Mhm.
talk, you get healing. If you stay quiet, that means you ain't healed. It's a lot. It's a lot with me. So anything you guys want to know, I'm here to share.
Wow.
No, absolutely. I immediately it's a very intriguing story, and I'm like, man, you're so precocious, so like grew up so fast, right? And I wanted to just get some clarification. So when did you like start writing the book? When did you say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna let my story be known. I'm gonna tell people about it. When did that start?
So I went to therapy, right? I did like 5 years of therapy. So I used to go to therapy in jail. Every time I went there just to get out of the dorm, and I never really took it serious. But I guess that's how it starts. You end up talking. So that's what. So I end up doing it outside, and then when I was able to tell one of my boyfriend that what my brother did, because I always left that out. Always left that out. And I was like, you understand? So that was like a relief. So he was like, yo, you should put that in the book. So I started writing on my phone everything that I wanted to say. And then COVID hit. And I said, I'm gonna put this in the book. Try
Mhm.
to accomplish something. Make something out of yourself, Janeska. That's what happened. And this was more to let my kids know who their moms were, because they have a different perspective. Like, oh, she's crazy. She went to jail. She did this. She did that. But they really don't know the story behind.
That's so true, right? Because like a lot of times, our like who the world see us as is not really who we are, right? Like just like thinking about one, your ability to maintain this positive outlook in the midst of difficulty, right? Like there's so many people who will say, you know what, man, I'm trying to do okay, and now this right here is happening. I might as well give up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a wrap. Like it's like literally over for me. Yet you were still able to kind of maintain that positive attitude. Like where does that come from, right? Like listening to your upbringing, listen to the things that happened to you when you were younger. Like, where does that positive outlook on life come from?
So that it didn't stop there. It literally went on and on and on, like every job that I went to. You know, because I guess this pretty face, and it's like, look at me within, like look inside of me. Don't look at the outside, and that's what I had to face every job. I literally had a job at a cleaning company, and I was the assistants. So in order for me to keep my job, I have to sleep with the owner, and I was like, no, this day it was just like an order with him, and I was like, I can't do this, and it was like, all right, today you work, tomorrow you ain't working,
Shut
unemployed,
up, really?
and it was like, wow, like really, okay, let me try this modeling thing, and modeling thing, hey, all right, I'm gonna put you on with this person, and next thing I know, I was drugged, and God knows what else was done to me. So these things just like, you know what? I'm not. If they could rip me like that, I definitely can't quit because I'm a survivor. I survived that.
Absolutely. I want to kind of go through like the timeline. So first and foremost, 12 years old in prison. How does something like that happen? And you said,
You say prison, it's so crazy because they got this thing called Lansing. And it's really like prison. So we're in juvenile, but it's really like prison because it's like a military school. And you have to be quiet from the time you wake up. So me being a badass, I fought just to get out.
mm,
I went down. So now when I stepped down, it was like comfortable. That's why I was able to keep going back and forth. Oh, this is it. Just it was like what we call it, sleep and a wake up.
mm.
So you're doing the
Mm.
time. It's like a sleep and a wake up.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Jail institutionalized, and that's why I had to face.
And so you said you spent 18 months, you got out and you wanted to make something of yourself. You went to nursing school around 16 program and they said, hey,
No, I was 17 turning 18. Yeah.
okay. And so when you got close to the end of the program, they said you couldn't do anything because
Misdemeanor. Remember now you can't have a felony at
Man,
work. So
felony.
I was like, misdemeanor to do this. It was just like it tore me up. I never even thought about working ever again. I was making 5,000 a day doing what I do, and here you guys telling me I can't work because you know what? Forget it. I
that's
have to be my family, and that's what it was like that for a long time until I tried again, and I always get that bumpy road. So it's people like you guys, like if y'all did go into incarceration and y'all made it, it's like this is where we need to really talk to people because it's really hard. It's so good for you to guys to make it, but it's steps. How do we take that step? How is it? Because I went to the job things and they deny me. I try to be a better person and I didn't have no guidance. You know, it's like it's a lot.
no, definitely. Okay, so you're 17, 18, maybe 19, and you're denied. Then what happens? So where you in your life at that time? What's the next step for you around the age of
So
20?
I was getting to my 30s. I would say 35. I was getting locked up. So
From,
back and forth, I would do like
20
time a
so,
year
so from 20 to like 35, you're going back and forth to jail.
back and forth to jail. I
Okay.
would do like a year, come home. The most I would do is a year. I'd be like, all right, you got to be quiet for a little while. Try not to get in trouble for another year. Because if you get in trouble, then they can actually put you in prison. And it was just like that.
So
I was like challenged with myself. So I knew how to balance it out, I guess.
what was that life like that lifestyle like for you? Because I,
Horrible.
mm,
Horrible because you living day by day. And how can you survive? How is it that you okay living? Like, it's like watching over your shoulders every day. That's how I feel. Don't know what tomorrow might bring.
right.
So when I really got into the working field, I had a friend, right? I got a friend who she's actually doing this right now. She's 43. And she's like, I never worked a day in my life. And I don't want to be friends with you. You don't have a friend. Like, I never thought I could talk like this. Like, what?
Wow.
And then shoot, like I was like her. Like, oh my God, I'm making all this money. I don't need no job and this and that. But where does it lead you? You're going back and forth to jail. Your kids are missing out. You're missing out on your kids' life. It's like so much that I was always, everything that I was gaining, I was also losing it back.
So for like, so when you were going back and forth, was this for like a lot of the shoplifting that you were talking about?
Yeah, that's all I did. I'm not a criminal. I would tell everybody that. I just was trying to survive. I was a young mom. They didn't have no way. I tried to do the right thing, and it was like, I was in a relationship with somebody for like 20 years, and it was like, my kid's father, that's who I was with. He ended up having sex with my sister, possibility that they have a baby together. So yeah, that's in my book as well. So it's like I'm willing to.
You know what? I should have read that book before I hopped on here.
You'll be like, so hey, let's.
Right. You know what? Listen, we're gonna do a part two, so don't even worry about it. A post book part two. It was very interesting because I'm following as you're talking to me. I'm listening, and I'm you know the way I am. I got a movie in my mind, right? So I'm following the story.
He's really talking like he got this movie.
So you're 30 to 35. You're going back and forth. And something that you said that just now is really interesting. You said, you know, I don't think like that anymore. What was the difference in mentality of when you were? Because I mean, it's really important. Because I want you to know what you're doing right now. When people who have no idea of this lifestyle, of this, or even struggling with children, not knowing what to do, it's important that you say, hey, listen. Regardless of what, you're taking responsibility. But this is my reason. This was my mindset at the time. You know, so what do you feel changed for you, meant your mentality? Because at that time you were doing it for a reason. What what made you stop, and what type of like mindset did you evolve into?
My children, I have a lot to lose, and the relationship, by me, like they remember that. I always had to tell them I was in school. Mommy's in college. When they became a certain age, it was like, please, we already know. So I had to like really get it together for them and also for myself because I was only hurting myself. I was hurting myself and hurting my family because and
Mhm.
we don't get that back. Like I sat in jail. I used to sit in jail and I just be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to sleep this 4 months off and this and that. But who got to send your money? Who got to send the food? You know, like hurting them. I'm hurting them. It's so crazy. So I was like, you know what? I almost lost my apartment. And if I felt like if I lost that, I lost everything. So that was really important too. So it was like I need that to keep my kids. It would just been like it would have been crazy. So I knew I was doing too much, too much. It was
Mhm.
like it was an ending, and the string was like, oh, and let me tell you guys, I had to pray on it.
Hmm.
It didn't. It's like still to now, I had to pray on it. I had to ask for my Father God, God, please change my ways, change me. And little by little, it don't happen overnight. You change.
So when was your aha moment?
It was like when I didn't have the urge, or when you would call me, and I'm like, no, I have better
Hmm.
things to do, or I will make excuses just not to be around you.
You know what's so interesting about kind of listening to your story in terms of how you evolved. A lot of times people do things and they're not vocal about like, yo, I know what I'm doing is wrong. I'm just trying to survive, but you still got like a life that requires you to have some kind of structure, right? With your kids and like the responsibility of your kids and trying to raise them right. It's interesting to hear that balance between I got to do what I got to do, but I also want to make sure my kids got what they need and like they got a mom present and available. How'd you maintain that
It
balance,
was
right? Is
crazy,
it
guys. Like, thanks to my grandma. My grandma. Thank to my grandma, because that lady, I
Shout out
put
to
a
Grandma.
lot of pressure on her.
mm,
It's like she had to do it, and then she didn't. So that's what I'm saying. I really thank her, and it's like a good and a bad for both end because me missing. Like my daughter really thinks that I never took her to school, so we had like a debate about that, and I felt the way. And thinking about that, it's like, damn, she really don't remember me taking her to school. She probably don't even remember me being away. Yeah, so it was a lot. That was awakening.
Like when you think about that kind of moment where you was like, I don't I don't have the urge no more, right? Did something happen that like you was like, you know what? Now I'm done with this, right? Don't call me, don't reach out to me. I'm done with it. Or was it just like a mental kind of switch that kind of went off? You was like, you know what?
No, yeah, it was so. I end up, I guess I asked God for a well-paying job, and I end up working for Empire State Building. Remember I telling you, and man, I was killing up there. Like I was making 60K a year. I was like, wow, this is me.
Mm.
Oh wow, let's go. And yeah, so I knew I didn't want to get back to that stage. Like I'm not going back. I don't even need to. So
Mm.
when I end up messing with one of these guys, one of that threw me right back. It's complicated with that one too. You lose focus. You lose focus. I lost focus.
Well, I was going to
Real
ask you
weak.
similar too, because I was going to ask like, do you have triggers, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I have to fight that all the time because it's like, all right, so I tell my family now, I say you guys don't have that hold on me no more because they had that trick. I was really triggered. And I had to learn that, wow, you guys study me so much that y'all know that y'all could just do this and I will. So
oh,
for somebody to have a power on me, over me, I felt weird for that. So I knew I needed to get that power back. So I had to like level myself, be more humble. And they always say, always listen before you talk. I always wanted to be the talker and no, sometimes I have to just sit down and listen. And that helped me.
So you're originally from New York. You said you came to the States around six. You said New
I'm
York.
from Panama.
You're correct. When you came here at six? Did you come to New York City or somewhere
Yeah,
else?
I was in Brooklyn.
Interesting. So what was it like growing up in New York City as a Panamanian? You know,
Brooklyn, oh man, Brooklyn was, I mean, that was a different lifestyle.
right.
Like from, if you say Brooklyn to Connecticut, we're different. But I actually, I could remember a pretty, like a nice childhood with me and my siblings and my moms and my dad, he's still home. He's back home.
Right.
So I don't really have a relationship with my dad only through phone. So I think that's really important too of like having a family. You have to have mommy and daddy at home. And because we was raised by all women, I felt like it's okay. I could be a single mom too. But learning as I got older, no, that's why they say marriage and carriage. So you can have a family. So yeah, I had to learn that, and just I was raised by all women, guys, like all women, and I know I put a lot of pressures to them, and just by me saying this at the podcast too, it's like I want to appreciate them too because we did so much that only women's had to take care of us. We had no father figures, no man in the house, and it was hard for them. I know it was hard, especially my mom's raising 5 children back to back because we all a year apart.
so with that transition, you kind of growing up, now you hear like I'm a fast forward a bit. You got into writing, right? You now kind of tracking what's going on, like the words you want to use through your phone. What gave you the confidence to be able to like actually publish a book? What's the name of the book, right? And I know you said that it kind of talks about your story, but like kind of tell us a little bit about that.
So my book is Silence of a Little Girl. It's out on Amazon right now. That's where everybody can publish them. And what made me write this book is like I literally had to tell a little story, a little bit about myself. I had to tell the world, like, listen, this is Janeska. This is the real Janeska. Then we always have a side. So they call me Nana. So Nana is
Okay.
the little child growing up, at 3 years old,
Hmm.
Panama, and with the brother and all that. Then you have Janeska. That's the diva who wanted to be the model, and you got two sides in the story, and that was really important for me to tell that story because I know a lot of women is gonna grasp to it. They're gonna understand. They're gonna be like, "Oh wow, this girl overcame all of this. She can smile. How?" And it's gonna be questions. So that was the goal. Because my goal is to talk, like, get into. My goal is to see Tyler Perry. And why? Because I have a story, and I know I could change people's life. And like you, I want to work with youth. I want to let them know how important it is that, listen, being just enjoy your youth life. Be something for yourself. I just said that. Like, let's start motivating each other where it's programs. Back in the days when I was growing up, they had Yogi Bears and things like that, boys and girls. We don't have that no more. Or if they do, they charging. These things was free. They used to come to the park and come and pick us up. Sunday school. We don't
That's
have
true.
this tournament, double dutch. Like, why do we have these things for these kids? Why do we have these things for these kids to motivate them? Because why? It's a lot of guns and drugs and everything. Now everybody is doing drugs, and our kids is going to school, and that is being out to them. So it's like it's so crazy. Like, I want to be a spokesman to, like, stop it, and it takes a million of us. It's not just me.
Right. So currently, right now, are you currently you work at you said Empire State Building?
Yeah, I was working there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in New York when I was working in New York. That's when life changed for me because I started making money and I was just like, this is what I need in my life. I never want to be stealing and doing something that's going to lead me back to jail. And I just didn't want that for me anymore. I wanted to live straight. And I liked the way I was living. Like, I like going to the store and being able to spend what I wanted, not looking over my shoulders and trying to get it. I like that. I like taking my kids out and they was like, "Mommy, I want this," and it's like, get whatever you want. It was a great feeling.
All right. No, definitely. So, all right. So you spent some years there. After you were at the Empire State Building, what did you do after that?
So I ended up coming here.
Oh, you came to Connecticut.
Yeah, I ended up coming to Connecticut.
What made you come here?
I ended up having an injury. And right now is in. Can't really talk too much about it because it's still open. But I had surgery on my ankle and my leg because the TJ Maxx countertop, the register, everything fell on top of me. So with that, I was unable to work. I went back into depression. The guy I was dealing with, oh my God, put me into so much. And like, that even messed my relationship up with my son because he's like, "You sitting here taking care of men. I never seen my mom like that. You was always a strong woman." And it was like, what is really going on in my house? It went confusion. So I thought by me moving out of New York, and they told me like here was just so cheap because in New York we're paying $2,000 for a box room,
Mm.
and here I get the house, and I was like, oh my God, yes, I could do the change, and I did that, and then I ended up getting myself in trouble.
In Connecticut.
Yeah, in Connecticut, and then COVID hit, and then that's what made me start writing.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So
Yeah.
you go through everything. You're on a positive track, and then you back. You take a step backwards. Are you open to talk about that, or would you not want
It's,
to? Oh,
oh,
okay. Well,
oh,
what
it's,
happened?
no. Oh, so this one, this said have nothing to do with me. Like I said, I'm a shopper. Now this became federal because I was dealing with the guy, and he's like, "Hey, I got a way that you could make quick money. This is gonna help you pay your bills," and I'm like, "Okay, great." So I basically just had to drive them to the bank, and they just get stuff. And with that, we got caught, and that's how I end up meeting Marcus.
You know, I appreciate you for enough and speaking about that because truthfully, I think you might know, but you know how common that is.
It's very
Do you know
common,
how
bro.
common that is? And like, so many people are doing it.
Yeah,
They don't get caught,
yeah,
but you happen to get caught.
yeah. Literally the first week, I moved to Connecticut May
Yeah.
May
Listen,
1st. And May 11th,
You got knocked your first day out. Listen, this is not for you. That's what this. You got knocked
that's
your
what it
first day.
told me.
You gotta hang it up.
That's what it told me. Stay
Right.
in your lane, stay in your lane. And then I'm gonna mess your head up. He turned state on me because of
So
what I
hold on.
was my fiance, and he
That's
it was really bad for me. And that's when I met Marcus, because I was facing so much, and it's like, you guys are not gonna y'all not gonna steal my, like, do this to me again. And I know I'm a good person. Like that's why I'm so open to tell you guys, because I literally only, if you look at my rap sheet, it's only shoplifting. And I never did anything to incriminate myself or like hurt anybody. So it's like, why is this happening to me? I always question that. Like, why? Then it hit me, like, stop pointing fingers. You know what you did. That's how I know I was growing, because nobody can make the decision but you. So I knew I wanted the money. I knew I needed this. So I knew I was taking the wrong road. And that's not what I need in my life. And I just, like, you know what? Just being with him. I'm happy that this happened, because I would have been going back to that same person who I was trying to pull out of. I was doing good. I had a great job. Like, it was just like, okay. And that's like drugs. Like drugs. I don't only want to speak to people who've been incarcerated, because just being incarcerated very young, at a young age, at 13, I was in jail with dope fiends, and they're the same age as me. So I'm like, how are you OD'd on drugs and you're only 13? That's crazy. He was living out in New Bern. So, you know, it's a small town. So I'm like, wait, this can't be life. So just knowing that, I know I could speak to people about that, because it's like so much, it's drugs is just like what I was doing. It's really hard for you to pull out when you just, that's all you know.
And so I even also imagine kind of when you got that injury, right? Like you couldn't work.
Yeah.
It sounded like it might have took you back to that space you was
I
at
was
before, when you was
depressed.
trying to kind of go to school. Now you kind of like feeling good about yourself, and then now boom, just like that, you gotta kind of stop. And there's like another roadblock that stops you from being successful. Did that take you back to like those moments and times when things kind of pop up and say, "Dang, I just cannot win"?
I still battle with that, and I tell everybody that, you know, how, like, I had to like overcome that too, because it's like I just keep falling, and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And we tell ourselves and we ask for these things, but it's like I got the message, like, just surrender. I give you me if you surrender yourself to me. So it's like, what did that mean? What did that mean? I'm worshiping you. I'm giving you everything of me. Like, what do you want? Remember, I was still asking for these things, but I'm still clutching. I'm still clutching. That's not how you get stuff. You really have to like sit still. And I really had to sit still to get where I was at. Like, wow, I don't need to steal. I don't need to be doing this. I don't need to, you know, date guys. Because that's another thing. One guy told me, you don't need to be dealing with guys for money. Like, get your own. What do you mean, get your own? You in my face and you, no. And that really took me back. Like, yo, a man told me that. Like, and it's true. Men are not obligated to take care of you. If you doing it on yourself, you're gonna even get more. So I had to learn that too. Like, wow, you know what? Begging is not gonna get you far just because of your look, your face. You're just gonna keep getting the same reaction. So I had to learn with that too.
dropping gems right now. I'm trying to tell you.
I had to learn.
Dropping gems. I was a little confused because you were like, you know, when you came back to Connecticut, you said, you know, that happened. But then you said, you know, TJ Maxx register dropped on you. I thought that was the jackpot. So I was like, she's still shoplifting? I thought, you know, I thought
That
you,
happened in 2018. I'm still
I
waiting.
thought you was a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
I'm
hold up.
still waiting.
I gotta do this. Nah, I want to say that I think it's amazing that as you sit here, like just sometimes it's important for people to know that the path to success and being a better version of yourself, we know it's not a straight line. And there are times where you might be striding and you like, man, I got this thing. And then, you know, you make a mistake. And, it's a part of the process, man, so long. And then one thing I noticed that you said, you kept kept going. Your head isn't down. He's like, that's when I met Marcus. You're still here. You're still positive, even though you had that stretch of doing well. You made a mistake, and he ratted on. Let me not say that. I'm sorry, Marcus. We talked about that, and he told on you, or I'm sorry, use those words.
It's funny.
Pretty much, and so it's like you went through that. So you were dealing with a whole lot of things with, betrayal,
Yeah.
you're alone, you're back in a situation that you didn't ever think you'd be back in. And here you are as yourself speaking to us right now with the confidence and faith and hope, knowing where you're going to be. I just want to say, like, I think that's a very, very important thing to have on this journey.
Yeah. I don't know if
Where do you get that from? Where do you get that?
I don't know if I told you, like, and during COVID, I also started my painting company. Seeing all these entrepreneurs doing all of these things, and me, I'm a beautician, but my hands started getting like a little, and I was like, you know what? And that was my passion. That was my goal. If I would have kept that, I probably would have been a millionaire. But I started doing other things. But during COVID, I started my painting company. It's called, and that became a passion for me because I love to do it. I love to go to people's house and redecorate, paint, whatever, do whatever they want, like that remodeling. So I love doing that, and I met a couple of interesting people, and that's when I start growing too. Like, wow, life is different. Now I'm going into my real estate license. Like I'm doing it all. I'm doing it all. So like I tell you, I was doing the flagging stuff. Now I want to do the deal. Get into that. But the only reason I want to do DLC is when I move, because it's like I'm not going to be a truck driver. I just want to do the lining. The ones that put the line on the
Mhm.
yeah.
Or you want to talk?
So like that's one of the things that I kind of found so interesting about you, right? Like usually when you run into like a woman who has kind of built up so much independence, right? And she finds a lane and she stays in it. And like that's all she knows. But you, it seems like you always grabbing and learning more, right? Like, you know what? Like always doing your best to kind of grab and like learn more. Like where do you see yourself kind of going in this direction?
Oh, I'm shooting for the sky. That's why they call me a trick or trade. Today I might be writing a book. Tomorrow I might be painting somebody else. Tomorrow, next year I might be might be doing podcasts. The other year I'm not gonna stop until I reach the goal. They said I ain't rich yet. I ain't rich. I ain't where I want to be yet. So why stop and just stay on one thing? Like the job I'm in now, I'm not comfortable there. So why I'm just gonna sit there and give them my all? I'm not gonna retire with you guys. So I'm gonna do something that's gonna make me, whole. And
All right.
that's why now we could become our own business owners, and it steps to that without having a career. Back in the days, they thought as you have to go to school, you have to do this. So when I learned that, because I still, I see, I got this little accent. That's why I don't like to talk.
Oh, good.
Well,
I can't talk like you guys. You guys speak so good and stuff. I got this little Panamanian.
not at all.
My sister had to correct me most of the time. Like, no, Nana, this is the word.
Nobody receiving it that way. You're doing all right.
Like, yeah.
Got you. So I've been listening to you, and there's a theme that I feel like has been pretty constant. I mean, I don't know, but what do you feel along your journey since you were young? You shared about your brother. You shared about this gentleman, your father, growing up with women. Most in your family being raised by women. What? How can I word this? How, like, what role have men played in your life, whether it be positive, negative?
None,
Yes.
guys, none. My brothers growing up, just watching them. Well, actually, my younger brother, we're like so close, and I got them taken out the house, right? And just to see him out of all of us succeed is like he was the first one, bought a house, finished college, and I'm like, wow, like he could be a father role to my children. So my son, he was the only child, only son, so I'm always push him so he could be a role model to my son, if you get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So I guess he's the only one because we never had a father figure or a dad. Never had. We had stepfathers, but me and my mom's relationship was never good. Where I had to pray on our relationship. And when I say pray, I had to like pray. Like now we could pick up the phone and I could be like, I love you, mom, and this and that. Like I'm so happy because I was the child that never understood because I had friends who would say like and cry that their mom's not here. And I'm like, oh, my mom's just here. She don't love me. We don't have this relationship. So that
Mm,
was hurting me and she didn't understand that. So it was like, you know what, my sister is the one who let me know like you can't change somebody. So I had to turn around and just pray on it. And I'm telling you, by me doing that, it worked because we were so angry at each other where we couldn't even my mom's we won't speak for like 10 years, even 5 to 10 years, and who does that to their child? So now we could pick up the phone. It's like, okay, and the reason she did that is because I ended up getting her locked up. They beat me with a buckle. They beat me with a extension cord and everything. I used to get beaten like that regularly, but this one day, which I didn't mean to hurt my mom's, I didn't want to call the cops so she could get locked up. I just needed to call the cops so I could get out that environment. I wanted to get out that home. So I didn't think of my family getting removed from the house or nothing, none of that. I didn't overthink that. So when that did happen, our relationship died.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah. So that's what happened, and I had to pray on that. And so basically, we only had our moms, and my mom's always was the mom who when we came to New York, she moved out,
mm,
and we had to stay with my grandma.
wow.
Interesting. Shaneska, tell me, like, so currently where you are, what are like in this journey? Like we talked about how it's not a straight line. What would you say are the most important things to you right now? Let's say choose three for you and like moving forward, being the best version of Janeska. What are the most important things to you as you stand?
Well, elevating. That's definitely like I want to be able to show my kids something like, all right, let's just like you know how like something like just to say I look like the book was number one. That was like, wow, mom, you published a book. Like they see that, so I felt good by that. Second, I also want to like set them straight. So I always
Mm,
ask for, oh God, just give me this money. Everybody else is making it. Why can I not make it? So I just pray for that. Where it's just like once I get it, we would never have to look back because the way I'm more like a giver. So I'm more like I want to invest. I want to give away to charity. I want to do so much for the community. Like, why can it not? You know, it's gonna happen, but I get time. Three is I want to get more like a relationship with my family where we could just like be, you
Mm.
know, a whole family because I just lost my aunt and she's like the most important thing to us,
Mhm.
and that's our first death. And just to know that it could happen just like that, I need everybody to just get together before we lose each other.
absolutely.
So like when I say family, my sister, my brother, whoever I haven't spoke to, he knows I published the book. My grandmom, she knew I published the book, and we have I guess it's like a fake relationship. Like that's why I mean, like I want my family, because I got questioned, like, did this really happen to you by the pastor? Because they still go to his church. So it's like, how can you question me? Oh no, this is why children don't tell they parents. So yeah.
So, like, with those three things, right? And it might even be the same thing, but like,
Mm.
kind of hearing what you're saying in terms of, one, just kind of finding the right opportunities for yourself, building a better relationship with your family, and just like this elevation. Are those also the same three things that kind of you use as cornerstones to keep yourself from going back to any kind of life or any kind of thing that you know, or is there something different? Like what keeps Janeska home? So her sons, her daughter, nobody got to worry about moms going back. Nobody got to worry about
Oh,
moms.
Mhm.
yeah.
What keeps Janeska home?
My grandkids, my kids.
the
My
grandbabies.
grandkids, because I would not put them through that. They need me. They need me. So that, yeah. Just to know that I'm a grandmother and I'm sitting away and I'm hurting them. Nah, I wouldn't do that. And then myself, I'm too old. So you say this while you share.
Um,
That was the teenage Janeska. I want more for myself, so I know I would never ever go back ever. Even when I fall, because I do fall, I get through so much depression stage, and it's like the devil attacks your kids. So that's where it's like, all right, I'm moving on. I got my career jumping. Everything is going good for me. But why the hell is this happening to me? You know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
you know,
So then, even in the midst of all that, you still able to kind of say, you know what, like regardless of what shows up, I'm confident that if I don't have the answer, I'm gonna sit still and pray on it, right? Because from what I know, based off my own life, it's what keeps me
Oh,
grounded.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I really meant what I said earlier. I wish I would have read the book, but we're really gonna have a part two because we're gonna have to. But you know, you've been through so much, and the truth is, there's really a lot to unpack because you've been through a lot. You've touched on a lot of serious topics today that people really do, and you've been through these things.
Like now you understand why I wrote the book?
Like, and yet, like, you stand and you smile. And I think I was sort of asking it earlier, a little like, where did you get that ability to smile through the pain?
Because the how will you say this, Marcus? The time was for me to be broken. It wasn't for me to smile. It wasn't for me to overcome. It was for me to stay crying, stay depressed, get more depressed, be angry, be angry. I used to be so angry at my mom's and just at people and not understand that I was only angry because I'm not happy with myself. I'm not happy where I'm at. I was not happy with myself. I wasn't happy with where I'm at. My kids are. I'm struggling. Why am I struggling? Like so that's what it was.
Well, one, I'll say this: you said it right, right, and like you are right. Like when you look at the data, right, the data shows that when people go through these kind of hardships, especially so many so
You're
early,
not supposed to overcome it.
you're not supposed
Yeah,
to. You know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to get stuck in
yeah.
that depression, stuck in that anger, stuck in that whatever space, not be able to overcome it, and then become known as that bitter person. And this is why he bitter. This is why she bitter because da da da. So leave her alone. Leave
I'm
him alone.
sorry. I think I'm not being honest too. Then you ask that question. What you answer? You numb your pain. So some
Mm.
people take out drugs. I numbed it with alcohol, and that I had to learn that my son. Nobody ever see me drunk ever in their life ever, but let me get in that key, turn that key. Guess who see me drunk and stumbling had to clean me up? My son. That taught me, and
Wow.
for him to repeat it and tell me as we adult, we have sit down conversation. That hurt me. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Talk about facing yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like
You looked at yourself in the mirror. Like, wait, what? Yeah.
I bring it up because a lot of times it's like that's interesting because people sometimes we refuse to see ourselves, right? And like somebody can tell you something, you be like, yo, yeah, but that's not me though,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know what I'm saying? So I think part of and we were talking about this earlier in terms of like how you come home and stay home. Part of that is really dealing with yourself, right? Your difficulty, your stress, your depression, like you really taking an honest look at yourself and saying, yo, this is who I am. And then finding peace within it,
Mhm.
right? Still being able to see that positive version of yourself. And I I like to think that's part of how you were able to still be able to smile. Cause kind of going back to what you said before, you was like, yo, I'm a good person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like I'm like a terror, like I'm really out here like destroying these streets.
Yeah.
Like I'm a good person. So I think that's part of it, right? Like you just saying, like, yo, in the midst of all of this, fine. But in my heart though, like when you look at how I feel about people, what I think about things, like I really care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's dope. That's dope. So when you think about other women who've been through what you've been through, right? Who may have a difficult time seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, who may not even know how to come out of it, who have decided to become silent and angry instead of loud and smiling, what would you say to those women?
Don't give up. Talk to somebody, let it out, because that's what it is. I was taught not to talk about it. I was taught like you talk about it, you're gonna get in trouble. Like, wait, what? So when you talk it out. Talk to yourself. Talk. You gotta talk. If you don't talk about it, then you ain't gonna heal. So I would say like just talk to somebody, grab somebody, like in some ways that it would better yourself. Because that's what I had to do. I had to better myself. In order to better myself, I had to take a different step, do things that do the things that I'm not doing no more. So it was like, yeah, I would tell them that, like, more like worry about yourself, talk about it. Because if you cannot hold it in, if you hold it in, you're only hurting yourself. I have a couple of people that did commit suicide. So just watching that, and it's just like, wow, how did it happen? Why you ain't talk to me about it? I had my best friend who died off of cancer. She didn't tell me she was dying, like off of cancer. She said, "Oh, I'm going to the hospital," but every I would see her hair fall out. She'll tell me she cut the hair. So I watched her go through the step, but she never confronted that she had cancer. Why? Why not talk about it? I could have helped you. I could have been there to like help you in along the step, nurture you. Like it was just like you have to talk.
Very deep. I have one question. Is there going to be a part two?
Of what? That book?
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Why, guys? Is a full closure. I telling you, I could talk about it because it's like it's over. And somebody told me, one of my coworker was like, because he read the book and he was like, "You're not fully over it," and I'm like, "Yes, I am." But then I looked at him and he's looking at me and he's looking at me and I'm like looking at him and I'm like, yo, he's right. And like it goes back to you guys, and I could say yes, I'm over it, but then I'm not because I have family who questioned my book. Asked me so I have to now pray on that all over. So it's like charge it all over again. Yeah, it was like charge it all over again. So it's like, yeah. So I don't know. I'm just living.
Now, for now, no
I'm
part.
living for Jalaska now.
We got one classic, and I'm definitely going to read it. And we're definitely going to do a part two because
I want to talk about
Before you go, though,
happy things.
hold on though. Before you go, you wrote one book though.
Yeah, it's Silence of a Little Girl, but now I'm coming out with a children book because I
Uh-oh.
want to work with kids, with autism, and I want this book to be magical. Like, so I'm changing it up. That sad stuff. It was like, all right, good. It's like a soap opera. Y'all like that? Good. Make it into a book. Let's talk about it.
that's real. That's real.
But if that's not, I
There
want
you
to do
go.
other things. Yeah.
I'm
So
Good.
yeah, my is learn along
okay.
and it's learn along, sing along. No, it's learn along, sing along, and damn, what's the ABC? It's in my book. I got three types.
Okay.
Nah.
Touching the kids though.
I'm in learn along right now. Yeah.
So
Happy to
for
hear
all
that.
those that are viewing, when we do drop this, they're definitely gonna, hear everything that you're saying, and I'm sure they're gonna go check it out because I'm definitely gonna check it out for sure. Honestly, it's been a pleasure, and I really meant what I said. Part two is imminent because we got to read that book. We're gonna come back and we're gonna really tackle and probably, go a little deeper or further to some of those things you spoke about because they're real issues that people are going through right now. And so I love the fact that they're able to see you and your strength, talking through it, like you said, because I think that's a message for everyone. Talk, speak about
Yeah.
it.
I thought we was going to talk about more of incarceration. Like I was like, okay, I could tell them that like I could say more about this, like just being incarcerated. You lose out so many time, like so many time, and some people is like, okay, like myself, I was like, all right, it's just a time to wake up, but you lose out in so many times that I could have finished school. I could have been who I am now
Right.
and probably bigger. I would have had my dream house. So like, it's so important to like talk about being incarcerated and try to get them to not go that route.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you said that. And I think something that's very important is people seeing that, yeah, you're right. You know, being incarcerated is something that, you know, we do need to talk about and shed light on. But more importantly, people need to see you as a human being, see us as human beings.
Yeah.
You know, and everything that you're doing shows that, yeah, you know, you go through your bumps, but that doesn't define who you are.
We are just a number when you're incarcerated. You're just a number.
But you're not, right?
Oh no, I can't. They don't even have my number. That's erased. I don't even think they got a what they call that picture.
The
Oh
inmate
yeah,
picture?
we did a photo ID.
Yeah. Yeah, photo ID.
They don't even
Yeah.
got that photo ID.
Photo
They don't
ID.
even got that.
So you know what? We're gonna delve definitely further into that, and I mean it, Marcus. We're gonna read that book, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna have crazy
Yeah.
part 2 with Janeska, man, because
Yes.
it's been amazing, man. You've been delightful. You know,
Yeah,
blessed.
definitely though. Yo, listen, for everybody that's watching, Janeska, tell them one more time where they can go find your book, go grab it, go read it. Right? She smoked this thing, man. Tell them one more time where they can go find it.
And it is Silence of a Little Girl. It's out on Amazon. Please support me. I will be very happy. And thank you. Guys, it was so dope. This is dope.
I already know. It definitely
Thank
was.
you.
We're gonna
Thank
do
you.
it again for real. Thank you for having us, even though we had you, but it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for coming,
Yeah,
for taking the time, because like I already know you're super busy, so
yeah.
thank
I'm
you for.
going to I gotta get ready for work.
Okay, okay, all right. So again, thank you. We appreciate you, right? And we go do this again soon, all right?
All right, guys. All right.
All right.